Have you ever found yourself in a moment of deep suffering and wondered, why is this happening to me? Have you ever faced injustice, illness, or betrayal and thought, I've done nothing wrong? Why must I go through this? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll explore a teaching so profound that it has brought clarity and peace to countless lives throughout history. The truth of three lifetime causality, or the law of cause and effect across past, present, and future lives. This is not about blaming yourself for misfortune, more is it about justifying pain. It's about understanding the hidden structure of life, a structure that reveals how our current circumstances are not isolated events, but part of an intricate web of causes, effects, and spiritual growth. Once you truly grasp this teaching, your suffering won't magically vanish, but it will begin to make sense, and with that sense comes power. The power to change your future by how you respond now. Let's begin with a simple yet transformative principle. Nothing happens without a cause. In Buddhist terms, this is the law of karma. Every thought, word, and action generates a ripple in the fabric of existence. Some ripples return immediately, others take time. Years, decades, even lifetimes. The life you're living now is not simply the product of this life's chases. It's the flowering of seeds planted long ago, some in this life and many in previous lives. This may sound mystical, but let's examine it practically. Think of a person born into extreme privilege, a loving family, financial ease, natural intelligence, and social grace. Now compare that to someone born into poverty, abuse, or chronic illness. From a one-lifetime perspective, this seems unjust, but when viewed through the lens of three-lifetime causality, we begin to see a larger tapestry at work. The Buddha taught that each of us carries the karmic imprints of countless past lives. These imprints, like seeds, remain dormant until the conditions are right for them to sprout. Just as a single acorn can become a massive tree, a single karmic action can change entire chapters of future existence. How? Does this mean we are doomed by our past? Absolutely not. In fact, this is where the teaching becomes truly empowering. While we cannot change the seeds we have already planted, we have full control over what we cultivate now. And every moment, we are sowing the seeds of tomorrow's experience. If you're suffering today, you're harvesting something from the past, but how you respond to that suffering will determine the next harvest. There's a powerful story from Buddhist tradition that illustrates this. Young monk named Samadhi was once accused of theft in his monastery. He knew he was innocent, but all the evidence pointed against him. He was beaten, humiliated, and expelled. Years later, after long meditation, he recalled a lifetime in which he had indeed stolen from a sacred temple. His present pain was not a punishment, it was a karmic echo. But here's the key: because he accepted his suffering with awareness, without bitterness, he purified that karma, used it as a turning point. He became a great teacher, revered not because he was perfect, but because he embodied compassion born from lived experience. This is what the law of three lifetime causality invites us to do, not to wallow in guilt, but to awaken responsibility. It teaches us to ask, why me? But what now? Who is to blame? But what can I learn? One of the most misunderstood aspects of karma is that it's fatalistic, but in truth, it is the most dynamic law in the universe. It gives us agency. Shows us that every small choice matters. Every act of kindness creates an unseen ripple. Every act of cruelty leaves an imprint. And perhaps most importantly, every act of awareness begins to dissolve old karma and create new patterns. Think about your daily life. When you face rudeness, do you respond with anger or patience? When you experience loss, do you sink into bitterness or open to gratitude for what was? These moments are not minor. They are the very points where karma turns, where future lifetimes are shaped. Let's go deeper. Some suffering in this life may be intense, disproportionate, and bewildering. The ancient texts say that certain karmic seeds lie dormant for lifetimes until the exact conditions rise for their expression. These are often the moments of deepest crisis, but they are also the moments of greatest spiritual opportunity. The Buddha taught that those who face immense suffering may actually be exhausting heavy karma quickly. He compared it to burning a massive log in a sudden fire instead of letting it smolder for centuries. When you suffer consciously without resentment, you may be shortening your karmic burden across lifetimes. There's another story of a woman who lost her child in infancy. She was consumed by grief, but a teacher told her, "Your child came to repay a small karmic debt and has now returned." That may sound cold, but to her, it brought peace. He saw the loss not as senseless cruelty, but as part of a sacred exchange beyond this life. He grieved, but with understanding. That understanding transformed her suffering into compassion for others. So, what can we do with this knowledge? First, we must live consciously. Every moment is a field, where thoughts are seeds, where actions are water, where intentions are sunlight. What are you growing? Second, we must dedicate merit. When you do something good, don't keep it for yourself. Say, may this action benefit all beings, including those I've harmed in the past, knowingly or unknowingly. This simple act begins to purify your karmic field. Third, we must endure with wisdom. When suffering rises, ask not, "How is this unfair?" but "What is this teaching me?" That doesn't mean you justify abuse or stay in toxic situations, but even as you seek justice, seek inner clarity. Pain is inevitable. Bitterness is optional. Fourth, we must help others. One of the fastest ways to dissolve negative karma is to serve. Why? Because service turns the focus away from self and into compassion. And compassion, according to the sutras, is the ultimate purifier. Fifth, we must practice the Dharma, chanting sutras, meditating, and keeping ethical precepts are not just practices, they are karmic purification tools. When you recite a sacred text with sincerity, you're not just reading words, you're aligning your life with universal truth. That alignment shakes loose old karma and plants seeds for future awakening. And lastly, we must develop long vision. The suffering of today may not end tomorrow, but your response to it determines how long it stays. Think in lifetimes, life in eternity. Then you zoom out. What seemed unbearable becomes manageable, what felt unjust becomes understandable. What once broke you becomes your initiation. Let me share something personal. There was a time in my life when everything fell apart. Health, finances, relationships. I kept asking, what did I do to deserve this? But slowly, through study and reflection, I realized I had been asking the wrong question. Instead of resisting the storm, I sat in it. I journaled, meditated, helped others, and kept practicing. One day, I looked back and saw that the very things that shattered me had shaped me. That's when I've understood karma is not punishment, it is a teacher. As we close this video, I want to invite you to see your life not as random, but as reverent, not as broken, but as becoming. The law of three lifetime causality is not meant to burden you with guilt. It's meant to free you with clarity. You are not helpless. You are powerful. Every breath, every step, every choice is a brush stroke on the canvas of your future. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, share your story in the comments. How has the understanding of karma helped you make sense of your life? Let's learn from each other, support each other, and walk this path together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you never miss a new teaching. If you'd like to support the continued creation of these videos, consider joining as a member. Until next time, may your past be your teacher, your present be your temple, and your future be filled with the light of conscious action.